Sure,
So
no problem.
why don't you start by introducing yourself and your B&B?
Okay, I'm Denise. I'm married to Jim, and we live in County Fermanagh in Northern Ireland. We bought our B&B almost 3 years ago now. It's called Clare Lodge, and it's just outside Enniskillen, right on the shores of Loch Earn. I can just about see the water through the trees as I look out of the window today. That's because the sun's shining on it.
How lovely to be able to look at the
Yeah.
water. There's something quite soothing about water, isn't there?
It's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things we really love. And you can see it better from upstairs, which is great because the guests have a better view from the bedroom.
So they get the view of the lake. Right.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Fantastic.
nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah.
Nice, quiet location as well. So with woodland on two sides, which makes it nice and peaceful, apart from when the geese fly over.
What kind of guests do you love welcoming?
We like guests who like to stay with us for longer than one night,
Hmm.
because they put more into the local economy.
Yeah.
So obviously we do get one night stays, but one of the improvements that we made last year was having a longer period of the year when we took 2 night minimum stays. We like people who like to walk because Fermanagh is all about outdoor activities. There are some indoor attractions that you can go to, but it is predominantly a nature lover's paradise, really. With the loch just down the road, there are lots of water-based activities. We have lots of fishing going on. There are so many golf courses that I couldn't even begin to count them. But there are lots of lovely forest walks and hillside walks and mountain walks as well. So our favorite guests are people who like to get outside and commune with nature. And we
Hmm.
also really like our dog owners for the apartment, and they will always stay 3 nights, usually 3 nights. We get some longer stays, and that's lovely because again, they have dogs, so they like to go out and do things. But as you know from doing the email magic last year, I discovered that even though they book self-catering accommodation, they don't actually want to do a lot of catering. So they're really into ordering breakfast and things from us as well. So we love them. They're great.
Yeah, wonderful. I love that that you know who you welcome, you know what you can offer, what your unique proposition is, and you focus on those guests. So tell me,
Mm.
before we worked together last year, what made you want to invest in Email Magic? What were you hoping to get from it?
I wanted to have an email list that was legal,
Hmm.
because I just had at the time I just had a folder with at the time I was just collecting people's details when they arrive on paper. And I knew that I needed to do something with that, but I didn't want to put it onto a computer and, you know, with all the risks that there might be there. Um, so I needed to do that. I had already done some work with you, and I liked your style. I liked your honesty, and I felt that you had something that I wanted to buy into.
Mm.
And even though we had a really bad summer season last year, and everywhere, all of the accommodation providers in our area were all hit by the dreadful weather that we
Mm.
had last summer. And we were no different to them. In July, we got lots of last minute bookings every time the sun came out, but it didn't happen in August. It started to rain on August the 1st, and it didn't stop until September. So that really hit us. So I was very conscious of the fact that I needed to have more income from the guests who were coming to stay,
Mm.
because the majority were just coming and they were paying for their room, and then they were going out and doing whatever they wanted to do, and that was it. So I had a couple of upsells, which I had I had introduced, again, from working with you, I had started to look at that, but I didn't really feel that I had a good handle on it. And some of the upsells that I'd introduced were just not selling, just sort of, one every couple of months or something like that, which
Mm,
just wasn't making enough difference. So I kind of felt like I needed to invest in something that was going to help me to understand what I was doing a bit more, because we came into this as complete novices. I read one book on running a B&B before we bought the property. It was out of date. I didn't really get anything particularly helpful about it. I mean, even though it was written in the noughties, so it wasn't that antiquated, but it wasn't the best.
no.
So yes, I just felt like I needed some backup because my husband has a full 9 to 5 job.
Mm.
So I do all the B&B myself. He does the maintenance, thank God, but I do all the day-to-day running and everything. I needed to be very focused on
Mm.
something that was going to bring us in more income when we weren't getting bookings.
So
Yeah, yeah.
we installed together, we worked together and we installed your greet and upsell email
Yes.
sequence. What benefits have you received financially by having this process in place in your B&B?
When we the good thing was that as soon as I started tweaking my upsells and offering them, so as soon as I even before I had the whole thing put in process, I did start sending out the offers. We got an instant response from that, which really surprised me. So I was, I'm you won't remember, but I was messaging you going, oh, we sold another one. We sold another one. It's very
I do
exciting.
remember. Your excitement was
Particularly,
wonderful.
yeah. But again, it was particularly the difference was the apartment was fully booked in August, even though the B&B was doing really badly. The apartment kept us ticking over. And we probably increased our revenue, I would say, by about 30 to 40% on the apartment
Wow.
through breakfast, just
Wow.
breakfast.
Just one
We had,
upsell. Just one
yeah, just
upsell.
one upsell
Wow.
made a huge difference. Almost everyone ordered breakfast, and we had some people who had breakfast every day. um for some people it was just a treat. They were coming
Yeah.
for a long weekend and they thought, oh well, on our first morning we'll have a bit of a lie-in and we'll have a late breakfast, and that was fine. But we had some people who ordered breakfast every day. And then I started pushing afternoon teas to them as well, and we sold a few of those, which was helpful too. And it just made a difference straight away.
Mm.
I did sharing platters for supper, and I had two running, and then I introduced a third one, and the third one was the Mediterranean, which surprisingly, even though we didn't have any weather that resembled Mediterranean at all, that one sold more than the cheese board and the charcuterie platter put together.
How
So
interesting.
yeah, it was really fascinating that
And great
people
that
went
you
that.
tested that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you wouldn't have known otherwise, would you?
No.
It's so easy to just keep on doing the same thing, isn't it?
Mm, mm.
Year in, year out. But when you try new things, you can surprise yourself.
Yeah. And I think the thing is that I know you kept saying to me about, don't make too much work for yourself because you don't
Mm,
want the extra work.
mm.
And I really took that on board, which is why I don't do evening meals. I don't
No.
do cooked suppers or anything like that. But um the sharing platters did really well last summer. So that made a difference then to our income from the B&B at a time of year when we weren't busy.
Mm,
And most of the uptake for the sharing platters were from our European guests. So
mm.
they were people who had been booked in, for weeks or even months in advance. And quite often they would order because they've driven a long way. Because where we're situated geographically, we're right on the border with the Republic of Ireland. So we get a lot of people who maybe fly into Dublin and travel around the south for a while, and then they want to go up to the north coast and do the Giant's Causeway and things like that. And we're kind of good halfway point
Mm-hmm.
for people who are doing that, and the same coming back in the other direction as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're quite often booked early. We've got quite a few bookings this summer now, the same, for European guests who are coming over to kind of do the tour of Ireland. And in the beginning, they were only staying here for one night and they weren't doing anything. In our first year of opening, that really upset me that they were
Mm.
just using us as a stopping point. So then we started putting a 2 night minimum stay on for the summer months, and that has made a difference. And because they're staying for more than one night, they're buying more from us.
Yes.
So that was the same last year, was when we started doing the 2 night minimum stay, and that with the supper options made a difference because they felt like even though they wanted to go out somewhere to eat one evening, they were quite happy to eat in on their first night when they
Yeah.
arrived because
Yes.
they'd had a long drive to get here.
Exactly.
Um,
And that's just about you solving a problem for them, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Because, of
yeah.
course, whenever we travel, right, as soon as we get somewhere, we want to go, we want to eat something and drink
Yes, yeah,
something. It's just humans. That's just what we do, isn't
yeah.
it?
It's
And
what
all
we
you're
do.
doing, all you're doing is just presenting them with a solution to that problem.
Yes,
And so they don't have to think about anything. It's all laid on for them in a way
mm.
that works for you as the host.
The upsells helped us a lot. It certainly got us through what could have been a very difficult summer.
Mm. What other kind of unexpected benefits, non-financial, have you enjoyed from having this process in place, would you say?
I think guest satisfaction.
Mm.
Um, people, more people are enjoying our food, which is great. It's nice to know that people like what you've done for them. So that's been a real bonus, really, because it's the positive feedback that makes you want to do more.
Yeah.
And as a result of the success we had with the upsells we did last summer, it's given me the confidence to try other things.
Mm.
So this year, in February, I launched our DIY pizza kit for the apartment. And the day that I launched that, I sold it straight away. So I was jumping for joy. Thinking, yes, yes, we've got. So I think the the sort of side benefit has definitely been it's kind of freed my mind
Mm.
to kind of think, okay, what else can we do? Non-food upsells are still not really doing very much. I do get the odd purchase of our spa pack for our room that has the spa bath. We still
Mm.
get those. So I'm not taking it off the list because they do still go, and I've managed to source some new products for it to make it a little bit more upmarket to what it
Mm-hmm.
was before. So I'm going to do a new launch of that for
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm going to do a barbecue pack this year where we
Yeah.
provide everything.
Yeah.
And because we grow a lot of food ourselves, it means that we always have a glut of green salad. And last summer, even when it was raining every day in August, we had green salad with supper every day
Yeah.
because we had so much of it. And I thought, well, actually, that cost me so little
Mm.
because a packet of seeds is £2, and I get hundreds of different types of lettuces from this. And we have, with rocket and nasturtiums, and I put nasturtium flowers in salads and things. So it looks really good. And we grow our own potatoes. So I thought, well, that's fine. Then we can do potato salad and things like that. So I'm looking at expanding the food option to the apartment. But then I thought, well, actually, we have our own barbecue, and we could, if people booked it in advance, we could actually set that up for them.
Mm,
And our B&B guests could do the barbecues. We have two picnic tables outside in the garden. So I'm looking at that now as another option for people to actually do their own barbecue, but we'll sell it to them as a package. But
yeah,
yeah,
and the advantage that you just highlighted there is when they book in advance, you're not scrapping around at the last minute, running around trying to
yeah,
meet their needs at the last minute. Everything has to be
that's
booked
right.
in advance so that you have time to plan and so they get the best of you.
Yes, yes,
Mm,
absolutely. I mean, we have had one or two guests who have booked in advance, but booked on a booking platform, not with us directly,
yeah.
and haven't read the blurb that goes on these things, and so they have turned up after I have sent them an email then to say, we do have these other options, but they don't reply because they don't look at their emails
Mm,
from that company as probably as much as they would if it's a direct one. So we've had a few people turn up asking for food when they arrive. And luckily, when it has happened, I have had supplies in that I could do it because it happened at a busy time of year when I keep the fridge stocked all the time. Had it happened in the winter months, it would have been a
more
sorry,
difficult. Yeah.
we do actually need 48 hours notice if you're going to eat,
Mm,
because it's too expensive to buy things and
yeah.
then run the risk of them not being used.
Yes. Yes.
So
Indeed.
yeah, well, I mean,
Indeed.
as I say, the couple that we have had a couple of people that have ordered it last minute and
Mm,
they've been lucky.
mm.
But I wouldn't have any qualms about saying, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you. If it happened at a time of year when we don't have the supplies
When you
in.
just couldn't. No.
No, we
No.
can't do everything, but I have got very canny about getting email addresses from people who book on other platforms, and communicating with them directly. Say, oh, by the way, it would be really helpful if we had your email address so you don't have to go via a third party to contact you. And everybody does it. They
Yeah.
don't worry about it. So that
Absolutely.
immediately then I can put them on my list then, and building a relationship. But
Yes.
that's so true, Yvonne. I
Yeah.
mean, it makes such a difference, when
Yeah.
people arrive and you know them already and
Mm,
they know you already. That
mm,
that makes that one of the real bonuses of doing the email magic was enabling me to have that contact with guests even before they arrived, rather than just the thank yous that I was sending out to people after they'd stayed with us.
mm,
Um, Actually building a relationship with people before they even arrive. And we've had
mm.
guests that say, "Oh, I feel like I've known you for years."
Yes.
And it also makes a difference in terms of them coming back as
Yeah.
well, because
Yeah.
you've done all the groundwork in advance. Um, they're more likely to think of you again when they're next in the area. We've got people coming at the end of this month who are coming for their fifth visit, and we've only been open 2.5 years,
Amazing.
and they come for a week every time.
Amazing.
And yeah, so and the whole email system, has meant that we've also got a couple coming in April for 5 nights. Now they stayed with us 2 years ago on a 2-night break, and I didn't recognize her name when she contacted me to make the booking. Um, and she said, my husband's on your email list. Oh, okay. And they have a different name. I was, oh, right, okay. She said, and every time he gets a message from you, he said, we really should go back to Rothclare Lodge. So they're coming at last. What I hadn't really embraced prior to doing the email magic course was how the long game is so important.
Yes.
I was very much into I want an instant result. I want to
Right.
send these emails out to people and I want someone to contact me straight away. And I would get very, very disheartened because that wasn't happening. And we hadn't been open that long. We still haven't been that long. Um, but I hadn't really considered that, it might be 2 years
Mm,
before you see the effect
mm,
of emailing people once a month or
mm.
whatever.
Yeah,
Um, but it is important to carry on doing it
yeah.
because if they don't unsubscribe, then they clearly do still want to hear from you.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
And that's the decision that they make, not you. Not
mm,
not not us as hosts, right? It's the decision they make, whether they want to hear from you or not. That's such an important point because I think that particularly in this industry today, a lot of people have been sold the model that you can just put your property on Airbnb or booking.com and you'll get bookings tomorrow. Well, yes.
it's what we were told when we were buying this
Mm,
house, and the house that we were supposed to buy previously. We'd made an offer on another house that was also running as a B&B already, and both of the owners who were selling to us said to us, "Go on booking.com and you'll be okay."
mm,
And that was what we did.
mm.
And yes, when we opened, we didn't have a website when we first opened. We were only on booking.com,
Yeah,
and we did fill up immediately. But the reason for that was because we opened in August
yeah.
and we were the only B&B in the area that had any availability. It was also post COVID. So people were still not confident about traveling abroad. Everyone was still doing staycations.
Hmm.
So we literally hit the ground running,
Mm.
but that tailed off very, very
It
quickly.
has
And
no
I think,
longevity to it.
no,
No,
nothing at all.
no.
And we had a quiet winter. Most of our guests through the winter were business people and wedding guests because there was still lots of catch-up weddings going on
Mm,
at the big hotel just up the road. So we were still getting the overflow guests from weddings. But since then, our winters are very quiet. So, we've kind of decided that from this year on, we're going to close in at the end of December and reopen in February.
hmm.
But doing the upsells will enable us to be able to do that
Mm.
because if we're making more money from the bookings that we already have, then if we don't have anybody here for 2 months, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
That keeps us ticking over. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
it's just been so beneficial, and it's such fun as well because
Yeah.
I like cooking
Mm.
and preparing food. So actually doing a platter or making another breakfast is something that I enjoy doing. So it's
Yeah.
not like I wouldn't dream of selling something that I wasn't 100% buying into myself.
No, and I think
It,
that's a very important point as well, right? Because
mm,
a lot of people say to me, "Well, what can I upsell?" And the answer is you upsell what you enjoy offering, and that your guests, the particular type of guests that you welcome, would enjoy buying.
yes,
That's the
yes,
key because it's so easy to copy what someone else is doing. But if your heart's not in it, if you don't like preparing food, then you need to find a way to do it differently that
yeah,
works for
yeah, yeah,
you because we're all different. You
yeah.
found a way and it works and you like
It
it.
works. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I stick with what works.
Yes, absolutely. And that's different for everybody. So
Yeah,
now that you have your own database of guests, past guests, what future plans do you have for your B&B?
ways to improve the guest experience by giving them a little bit more luxury in the rooms as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've put my prices up this year. I mean, last year we played with the prices quite a lot because bookings were down.
Mm-hmm.
So I put them up for a little while and then I do kind of a special offer and bring them down for a couple of weeks and see if that would get people's attention. Um, but when I was reviewing my prices for the year back in December, I made a decision about how much I wanted to put my prices up for this year because um, I felt like even though I'd been putting prices up, I felt like I was still undercharging for what we
Hmm.
were offering.
Hmm.
So we've made some changes to the rooms. We've added a few things in terms of the sort of actual fabric of the room and the furnishings. We've done some redecoration. So I'm just trying to pitch it a little bit higher
Yeah.
in the sort of boutique B&B because we've only got 3 rooms. So I'm trying to get the rooms up to spec so that they do genuinely fit into a luxury accommodation
Yes.
bracket so that I
Yes.
can charge more. But it is interesting. People are prepared to pay more. We still get bookings from booking.com where I've now, because of the discounts that they offer, which obviously affect us,
Mm.
I think my prices are now 45% higher on booking.com than if you book direct. Obviously, people aren't paying that
Mm.
because they're getting their 10% discount for their Genius level, and then they're getting
Mm.
another 10% discount because they booked on their mobile phone and things like that. So I have learned where to pitch my prices so
Mm.
that I am being hit by all of these discounts that are offered. I've only bought into the Genius level one and the mobile bookings because the mobile bookings is for me is the most important one because quite a large percentage of the bookings we get through them are mobile bookings. And if I when I
Okay.
switched that off as an experiment for a month, I noticed that our bookings came down. But on the plus side, our website bookings have gone up.
Wow.
So that's made a huge difference for us. So we're getting it's roughly whereas it used to be about 80% of our bookings were from booking.com. Obviously it was 100% when we first opened and then we got our website after a couple of months. But now we're getting to the 50-50 mark now. And we had
Amazing.
yeah, certainly at the end of last year our website bookings were 60%. So
Wow.
we hope that's a trend that will continue because that makes a difference. And I've actually taken the apartment off booking.com completely
Mm.
and I just do bookings on the website. We get a lot of bookings for the apartment from social media
Mm.
because it's dog friendly.
Mm.
So we get a lot of bookings that way.
Mm.
So yeah, it's we had a we did make enough last year to put a wood burning stove in the apartment so that it would be more attractive for winter bookings. So that worked
Fantastic. Yeah.
well.
I
You
love
know, it was a
how
big
you're,
outlay,
yeah, but I
but
love how you're kind of testing things all the time, like you're
yeah,
like trialing things out and seeing what works and really because you're really quite new to the industry and quite new
yes,
in the early years of your business, and there are so many things to test and tweak. Um, and your willingness to do that is paying off, right? Because you're
yeah,
finding
yeah,
out what
absolutely.
works, finding out what
Yeah,
works, and that's the best way to to maintain your own interest in it, which is
yeah.
really important.
That
um
is that's a very important point because we
mm,
did get to a point with last year when we could see that our bookings were down for the summer. I was like, gosh, what have we done? Did we
mm,
make the decision here? Because it was quite scary
yeah.
that we weren't going to make enough to cover our fuel bills, for
Mm,
example.
mm,
So, but yes, you do have to keep an interest going. And as I say, we got the wood burning stove, but we don't give the logs away. So that's
no.
another upsell is if you want to use the stove, you have to buy a basket of logs. So I couldn't believe it when then my husband told me how much it cost. We've got a big storage unit outside the apartment with all the logs, and it's lockable, obviously. And he said to me, "Do you know how much it costs to fill that up?" And I said, "No." He said it was £300.
Mm,
Right, okay, so we
yeah.
definitely need to charge for logs
Yeah.
then. We can't afford to just give that away.
No, and you
So,
don't need
but
to anyway. You don't need to anyway.
no,
because the whole purpose of people buying more stuff from you is to make them feel good.
Yes.
And we love to make ourselves feel good by buying things. I mean, retail therapy is a thing, right?
Yes, it really is.
Yeah. And so when we give our
Definitely.
guests, yeah, when we give our guests the opportunity to spoil themselves, to buy more things, and to have an enhanced experience, they'll love it. They love it.
Mm,
And of course,
yeah.
that you've experienced that now, and you're getting great reviews, and guests are commenting on how much they've enjoyed you setting things up for them. So brilliant.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So
But
what would
yeah,
you
anyway,
say?
it's all been good fun.
Yes, so that's brilliant. So, what would you
Um,
say to anyone, Denise, considering implementing the email magic process into their business?
I would say it was the best investment I've made in my business so far, and therefore do it. Don't think about it. Just jump in with both feet because it did make such a difference. It's made a difference to my confidence in running my business. It's it there's so many different things that you learn along the way. My IT skills have got better. You might remember we had some real headaches with getting my email address verified, but my IT skills improved immensely,
Mm,
um, and my confidence to trust myself and not always listen to the tech guy who says, no, you can't do that. I go, oh, but there must be a way. So yeah, I would say for lots of reasons, not just for creating upsells and not just for writing emails, but for lots of other reasons as well. It definitely worth doing. It was, as I say, it was the best thing I did that helped with my business.
that's brilliant. I kind of think about it in terms of professionalizing your business.
Yes, definitely,
Once you have a
definitely.
database, once you're managing a database, and we've only done one, email magic is just one of our three
Yeah,
systems that we help clients to build around a database. But once you start managing a database as you have, just with the one system, it gives you something intangible, and it's like a feeling of I'm in charge here,
yes,
right? I
yeah,
have a real business
definitely.
here. I'm not
Yeah,
just some Airbnb host who
no,
just gets bookings in, and no disrespect to Airbnb hosts, but it's a different animal. It's
it
a
is.
completely different proposition with somebody who's just putting their property on the platforms and then taking one night stays, and it's like a conveyor belt of people in and out. That is a completely different experience for the host and for the guests.
Yeah.
Once you've got your own, you're managing your own business basically in
Yeah,
a
it's
professional
definitely made,
fashion.
yeah, it's definitely made me feel like a business person rather than just this retired teacher who wants to run a B&B. I've learned a lot of business skills, and it's also made me trust my own judgment as well in terms of looking around for other ideas, looking at what other people are doing, and actually going out and approaching other people and saying, well, tell me about this, how did you do that? And looking at how I could do it. And I've
Mm,
got to the point now where I'll be talking about I've been improving the my website. I've been doing a lot of work on that recently and updating all my blog posts so that they are better ranked SEO wise
yeah.
and so on. And I've learned a lot from doing that. And I actually really enjoy it. I think I should have been an editor of some sort. I've really enjoyed doing it. So
Yeah.
even though it can take up hours of my time, I feel like I've had a good day at the office if I've managed to improve six of my blogs, and get the SEO up to green lights and so on.
Yes.
But it's got to a point now where I'll be maybe having a conversation with my son, who is a expert in the GDPR stuff and everything, and my husband will walk in and say, "What are you talking about now?" And this is a man who works in IT for a living. So I go, whoa, I know something you don't know.
Kind of elevated the
So,
conversation.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
it's good fun.
brilliant. Yeah. Is there
Yes.
anything else you want to say?
Um, Probably, but you know me, I could talk for hours, and you'll never get anything else done. I think I did actually sit down and and write lots of notes and read through them, and I think I have covered everything
Right.
that I
Great.
wrote in there. But
So where can
yeah,
we
I
get
mean,
you? What's your website?
my website is www.rossclarelodge, all one word, lowercase, .co.uk.
Wonderful, Denise. Lovely to
Thank
catch
you.
up with you. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
you
your
too,
time.
Yvonne. Yeah,
And
no
let me know
worries.
if I can do anything, if I can help you in any way in the future.
I certainly will.
All
You're on
right.
my list. Take care now. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Yeah, bye.